It's hard to believe that it's already been just over a year now since Spider-Man No Way Home swung into theaters and blew our minds. For those of us who love and know everything Spider-Man down to our core, there's just one word that I can use to describe this film: special. I, like so many Spider-Man fans across the world, have grown up with this character. We've experienced every generation of this character, from my personal favorite, Tobey Maguire, whose trilogy has impacted me and who I am as a person even to this day, to Andrew Garfield, whose films may not be perfect, but still hold a special place in my heart as a diehard fan of this character. And finally through the Tom Holland's latest adaptation of this beloved character, when he first emerged on our screens in 2016. I won't deny that the road through this MCU Spider-Man trilogy has been a bit rocky in my opinion. There are certain aspects of the character that are less favorable when it comes to adapting the character from the comics. But luckily for me, this final film in the trilogy, No Way Home, brought things full circle in one of the most satisfying conclusions. So, without further ado, let's talk about Spider-Man No Way Home and why its ending is perfect. I've been wanting to talk about this movie and its ending for the longest time, but I've never quite found the right words to describe my love for its final moments. Finally, about a year later, I decided now's the time. There are few scenes in movies that have impacted me in the way this final scene did. And so I decided that highlighting this impactful moment now is the best way to pay tribute to it. Was the movie perfect and without flaws? No. Did its first act probably need to be tightened up a little bit? Yeah. Were the VFX a little subpar? Sure. But I'd be lying if I said that No Way Home didn't become one of my favorite theater experiences of all time. Getting tickets 2 weeks in advance, seeing it at the biggest theater possible on the last day of school before winter break. Everyone was so hyped for the return of Green Goblin, Electro, Doc Ock, and of course the possibility of seeing Tobey and Andrew again. It's hard to know if we'll ever have another movie that had that kind of a build-up. But I'm here to talk about the ending, and how one choice that Peter Parker made at the end of the film changed his destiny and the story of Peter Parker moving forward forever. In one final push to save the multiverse, Peter tells Doctor Strange to make everyone forget who Peter Parker is. In a movie full of surprises, this may have been the biggest one. It changed everything. The Avengers will never know who he was, his best friend won't know him, and perhaps most tragically, his own girlfriend MJ will have no memory of him. With time running out, Peter promises he'll find them and tell them about everything. But it's a promise that is short-lived due to the tragic curse of the Peter Parker character. We soon fade to some days later. Peter walks down the New York sidewalk as snowflakes fall from above. He practices the best words possible that he can say to MJ for her to remember him. For how big of a scale this movie had been so far, we finally get a look into that human side of Peter Parker again. I just remember getting chills by the turn this movie takes with its melancholy tone. Sure, Spider-Man is an icon, a superhero, but he's also just a person, just like us. A hero who's put into these ordinary situations, and that's what makes him so beloved, so real. As Peter walks into the coffee shop, he sees Ned and MJ talking about their future at MIT. They're happily moving on and continuing life unknowingly without him. As MJ finally speaks to him, Peter drops the lines he was going to say and greets her as just another customer. Yet one final thing seals this decision. MJ brushes her hair to the side, revealing the injury she sustained from the Statue of Liberty fight. In that moment, Peter realizes that maybe it isn't the best decision for them to be together. One of the most tragic elements of Peter Parker that this film sheds light on is the consequences of him being Spider-Man. How those closest to him may always get hurt. It's the tragic nature and curse of this character. He has to make the decision then and there. Is it fair for him to rope these people into his life as Spider-Man? The way the camera just holds and lingers on Tom Holland's incredible performance as he holds back the tears is just beautiful filmmaking. We can feel and understand every emotion through his eyes as he says one last goodbye and makes the decision to let his past life go. This is Peter Parker, the one who sacrifices his happiness for the well-being of others.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams.
Soon after, Peter goes to visit the grave of his Aunt May. This scene really reminded me a lot of The Amazing Spider-Man 2 because of its setting. Happy Hogan stands next to him, and it truly signifies to the audience the weight of this memory erasure. Happy doesn't even know him anymore. He talks about how this loss feels like the loss of Tony a few years prior, and says something super interesting.
It hurts because they're gone, and then it hurts all over again because you remember what they stood for, and you wonder, is all that gone too?
But Peter responds with,
No, it's not gone. Everyone that she helped, he'll keep it going.
a big theme of the movie and the character of Spider-Man is without a doubt responsibility, a concept Peter learned in many difficult ways throughout this movie. But as his fellow brothers or Spider-Men told him,
You know, it's what we do.
they help the little guys. That's the responsibility of Spider-Man. To keep the spirit and memory of Uncle Ben or Aunt May alive. That when you help someone, you help everyone. To show that what they stood for is not gone. And Spider-Man will carry on that torch. We then cut to a scene that was just completely and utterly unexpected. Peter Parker moving into the city, his own dainty apartment, all alone. Something so many of us wanted from MCU Spider-Man is these quiet, grounded moments. We wanted more moments like in Spider-Man 2, where Peter just wallows in his old apartment after a tough day. Call me sadistic, but seeing a Peter Parker moment with this tone is everything I want to see. While I do have a lot of gripes with this MCU Spider-Man trilogy, I have without a doubt kind of grown up with it. I remember being a freshman in high school when Homecoming came out. Seeing scenes like him walking to school or taking the bus was just so relatable to everything I was experiencing myself. Him in Spanish class, being a bit of an outsider, or him just looking at the clock waiting for class to get out. It felt real. And now these years later, I've grown up. It may sound a little corny, but as a young man on his way to heading out into the world, the scene was just so impactful to me personally. Somehow helped me accept that growing up, chapters were closing, but new doors were opening too. I just remember watching this scene in complete awe. The scene itself is almost like it could be a perfect little Spider-Man short film, in that it captures the exact essence of Spider-Man in such a short amount of time. When he looked out his window at that snow falling, something had me shook. For the longest time, I talked to my brother or my friends about the one scene I wanted to see so badly in a Spider-Man movie. I wanted to see Spider-Man in a classic suit, swinging alone through the night over the snow-covered New York. I said it so many times, it just felt like it would be a perfect scene for Spider-Man to have. So when he grabs his mask off the bed, when he hears the police radio, and when we see a sewing machine of a brand new homemade suit, I was speechless. For so long, a huge complaint from many of the fans has been Spider-Man's constant reliance on Stark technology. And it can be cool at times, but it was never exactly in line with the character's roots. So for so long, people have voiced that they wanted to see Peter make his own suit. Not filled with every gadget possible, but just a classic, non-over-designed Spider-Man suit. In January 2021, I did a drawing of what the final suit should look like in the upcoming third movie in the trilogy. And I got that. I remember being in the theater just on the edge of my seat, possibly even more than what I was during the Tobey and Andrew reveals. But this time, I couldn't get my words out. I know maybe it sounds dramatic, but when you see something on screen in front of you that is so perfect, that is literally ripped from your brain and the things you've been envisioning, there's no other feeling but just shock. I was on the edge of my seat admiring how the suit was almost identical to the drawing I did back in January. And its melancholic tone was everything I wanted, but never expected out of one of these movies. Spider-Man, swinging alone above the city. No Iron Man, no Avengers, no high-tech suit, no Nick Fury, no Doctor Strange. No one. Just him. It's about what you do with the second chance that defines who you are. So, Peter takes this second chance to go out into the night. And as the music builds and he swings above the lit up Christmas tree, Peter Parker may be no more, but Spider-Man lives on. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so glad I finally got to talk about this incredible ending. How did you guys like the ending? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Before you guys leave, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more videos like this and smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. I can't wait for what 2023 has in store for us. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Sushi out.